Hi again, this is the crew at Jamaica Me Crazy, and they're the audience for my Persuasive search. First, I'd like to thank y'all for coming. I really appreciate you helping me with this assignment and everything. I guess this is a little bit of a controversial topic, but it's something that I feel very strongly about, and I'd like to just share my thoughts with you guys. I talked about this in a Westover Honors Ethics class last year, so I have a pretty strong background in the ethics behind this. So I don't know if some of you know or not, the Roe versus Wade court case legalized abortion in 1973, and even though that was over 30 years ago, it's still a very controversial and talked about topic in our government and in our society today. And so I just want to talk about what makes a human being, or someone with our genetics and everything, a person, and what qualifies them, just really what makes abortion morally unacceptable. And so the first thing I want to talk about is that a fetus is a human being. M. Scott Peck explains that one manifestation of our narcissism is that we are far more likely to kill that is which different from us than that which resembles us. And so, for example, the way a vegetarian won't eat meat, but they're okay to kill plants and things, is kind of how pro-choice people look at the fetus. They think well, it's not a person yet. It doesn't resemble a baby, so it's not really a person. And which is kind of false, because if you look at the science behind it, at the moment of conception they have human DNA in all 32 chromosomes and everything, and then by 8 weeks they have brain function and a heartbeat. So really, abortion deprives the fetus of having a life, which is one of the unalienable rights to life. Philosopher Don Marquis believed that the loss of one's life deprives one of all the experiences, activities, projects, and enjoyments that otherwise would have constituted one's future. Then of course there's the case of a failed contraceptive where you tried to not get pregnant, but it was an accidental pregnancy and things like that. And Judith Jarvis Thompson talks about this scenario called people seeds. And basically, in this scenario, a window is left open and seeds drift in, and then you end up with a tree growing in your living room. It's a little out there, I know, but despite the installment of a screen and stuff, which in this case would be a contraceptive, those aren't 100%, and then it fails, and then you're left with this thing. And so my conclusion, is that contraceptives aren't 100% effective, and if you are willing to proceed at your own risk, then an accidental pregnancy is not a valid excuse for an abortion, and that's because the fetus is now a third party, and those rights need to be taken into account. Of course, another controversial topic is in the case of a rape, I believe that rape victims need and require medical and emotional care, but that fetus is also a victim, and it shouldn't be punished or aborted because of what happened. And I also think that an adoption is an option for women who don't wish to keep the child, but terminating the pregnancy is not morally or ethically sound. And then there is a topic where the health and well-being of the mother gets involved, because of course she has to change her entire lifestyle, and pre-existing health issues pose risks such as diabetes and heart disease and everything. And Judith Jarvis Thompson again talks about a large child in a tiny house, and basically what she's saying there is that the child will continue to grow until it crushes the house, which would be the child growing and putting a strain on the mother and everything. And so the mother has a right to protect herself as well as her baby, and they both have rights to life, but in this case the mother's rights would outweigh those of the fetus, because she has to provide a safe place for it to grow, and if she can't do that, then that could result in the loss of both lives. And then then that kind of gets into to the right of a woman, like to her body and everything, and then so that some people think that like the mother's personhood is what gives her rights over the fetus. Personhood is defined by genetic, cognitive, and viable ability of a human being. People argue that the fetus isn't capable of sentience, emotion, reasoning, or living outside the womb. Judith Jarvis Thompson again talks about this violinist analogy, and that's that a world-renowned violinist is attached to anyone's kidneys, and then of course like that person has the right to like detach themselves from this violinist, but the violinist has all these like accomplishments and great talents and everything, so that's kind of an analogy to show that one day this baby could have talents and accomplishments and things like that, and it'll be deprived of those abilities and everything. And then I have a short video to show you which kind of sums up what I've been saying. It's more like a visual aid to help you understand.
This is a person. This is a person. This is a person. These are all valuable people. What about this one? It's small. It's underdeveloped. It's in a different environment. And it can't survive independently. But do any of these points prove that this is not a valuable person? Well, let's see. A child is smaller than an adult and less developed. So size and level of development can't help us determine a person's value. Similarly, this person is dependent on his oxygen tank to survive in this environment. But neither his environment nor his dependency should affect his value as a person. So how do we determine a person's value? Well, the Declaration of Independence states that all men are created equal and endowed with inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So when can we qualify something as a human? Interestingly, all humans have DNA that is distinctly different from other animals. In our society, we like to count our lives back to the moment of our birth, but our DNA was set permanently at the moment of our conception. We've been human beings since. As human beings, we have the right to live at any size, any level of development, in any environment, and with any degree of dependency. So should we have the right to choose, to take away this person's right to live?
So I hope that was a good summary of what I was trying to express to you guys. In closing, I want to talk about how life begins, like the video said, at the moment of conception, and terminating a pregnancy is kind of the killing of an innocent human being. And I kind of believe that like instead of terminating that life, that life should get the chance to like grow and prosper and everything, even if like adoption and other things are like suggestions and everything. And instead of funding abortions, I think that money should be turned to providing post-birth care for these children, such as like adoption.